ndamva kulira. Welcome to the news on Zodiac. I am Robert Kalua. First, the headlines. President Chakwera dares politicians against politicizing MEDEF operations and financial lending institutions. TUM laments lack of progress in and out of court talks with Education Ministry a week after suspending strike. CHRR demands arrest of former Labour Minister for admission of guilt in the plan of COVID-19 funds. And in business, the 2020 tobacco marketing season officially opens this Tuesday in Bilongwe auction floors. Now the news in detail. President Lazarus Chakwera has cautioned politicians against fusing politics in functions of the National Economic Empowerment Fund and other economic empowerment initiatives. The president issued the caution in Bilongwe when launching a 10 billion kwacha women's fund by National Association of Business Women. President Chakwera said unless politicians stop interfering in operations of NIF, Malawi economic prosperity will remain a far-fetched dream. Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation Executive Director Michael Kayata says action by former Labour Minister Ken Kandodo to give back COVID-19 money he issued is evidence of his guilt in mishandling the funds. Kayata says Kandodo needs therefore to be arrested for being implicated in the abuse of 6.2 billion kwacha COVID-19 funds. But journalist Peter Jegwa Kumwenda says President Lazarus Chakwera has done his part in firing Kandodo, and now it is up to the police to see whether Kandodo's action qualifies for an arrest. Happy Njelamano sent us this report. We'll give you that report in our subsequent bulletins. Moving on, Minister is blaming his then Principal Secretary Dickson Chunga for landing him in the situation he is now on, the plunder of COVID-19 funds allocated to the ministry. The Principal Secretary in question, Mr. Chunga, was not available for immediate comment. Teachers Union of Malawi, TUM, has expressed worry over delays by Ministry of Education to commence discussions on their concerns a week after an agreement to settle differences out of court. TUM President William Malimba told Zodiac that since they suspended the teacher strike, government has not come out on how they will move forward with the proposed discussions. The ministry is yet to comment on the matter.
It is not clear when discussions between Teachers Union of Malawi, TUM, and Ministry of Education will start. A decision that ended a teachers' strike that discussions be conducted outside the courts is yet to come to life. TUM alleges government has not indicated when the talks will resume, and this is worrying President for the union, William Malimba.
The case was withdrawn from the court up to now, but not any other communication from the government side giving us a date for the meeting to resume.
An education commentator, Benedicto Gondowe, shares similar concerns and asks Ministry of Education to expedite the talks. But Ministry of Education officials were not available for their immediate comment. An inter-party hearing between TUM and Ministry of Education on a once-off COVID-19 payment impasse was suspended after a lawyer representing TUM sought court relief that the matter be resolved outside the courts. For Zodiac, this is Chimwemwe Padata.
Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiative, CEDET, says all is set for the April 21 demonstrations against economic hardship the citizen is facing in the country. CEDET Executive Director Sylvester Namiwa said so far only Mzuzu City Council has responded to their letter on the matter but has rescheduled the dates for demos in the cities as most of the law enforcers will be engaged with a state event.
We are here to announce the demonstrations. Malawians that have been badly affected by the high cost of living are encouraged to take to the streets. Let me also say, we wrote all the four city councils, namely Mzuzu, Blantyre, and Lilongwe, and also Malawi District Council. But as I'm talking to you, as I stand to you, it is only Mzuzu that responded promptly, and we had a planning meeting last Friday, the 16th of April 2021, where we agreed, the both parties agreed to reschedule the demonstration from Zuzu to a later date to be announced in the due course, because as I'm talking to you now, the Vice President of the Saulos Chilima is in the Northern region on official duties. But the silence from Lilongwe, Blantyre and the Mulanje district councils would not deter us from leading Malawians to exercise their right to peaceful demonstrations, because the law is very clear. You need to inform the authorities 48 hours prior to the demonstrations, something we ably did because we wrote them as of 14th of April 2021. But the silence means impunity and arrogance from our public officers. Secondly, it is a futile attempt to ensure that Malawians are denied their constitutional right to demonstrations. At a second thought, it only shows that the Malawi Congress Party is a threat to the hard-earned democracy. This is a futile attempt to paralyze our preparations. But Malawians should be assured we are following the law. Come Wednesday, the 21st of April 2021, we are going into the streets.
The Department of Immigration and Citizenship Services has referred 11 Congolese and 5 Burundian nationals to Karonga Transit Shelter for failure to meet asylum-seeking procedures. Deputy spokesperson for the department in the north, Francis Chitambuli, says the 16 will be screened at the transit shelter before further decisions are made. There has lately been an influx of illegal immigrants in the country, especially from Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, Somalia and Ethiopia, who mostly use Malawi as a transit route to South Africa. For details, here is Adam Zondoning.
According to Deputy Spokesperson for the Department of Immigration in the North, Sergeant Francis Chitambuli, the 5 Burundian nationals were arrested in Katabe district, where 11 Congolese nationals were intercepted at Kwezi roadblock. Sergeant Chitambuli added that the asylum seekers from Congo boarded a bus from Karonga en route to Zodiak refugee camp, but immigration officers manning the checkpoint pounced on them after failing to meet Malawi government asylum-seeking procedures. The Deputy Immigration Publicist explained that all the 16 asylum seekers have been referred to Karonga Transit Shelter, where they are being scrutinized on whether they qualify to seek asylum at Zareka, where government, through United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, granted them permission to reside in the country. Sergeant Chitambuli explains.
This is not the first time. Recently, there have been a number of people being deported, others also being referred to the transit shelter as well.
Recently, government issued a directive that all Aryans residing outside the refugee camp in Doha should immediately return to the camp or else face forceful eviction. Reporting for ZBS, this is Adam's comment. Undani.
NBS Bank has streamlined its services to provide loans for businesses that have been awarded contracts from government, in line with a recent policy to award 60% of its contracts to ingenious people. The bank's investment banking senior manager Robert Kapiepe has hinted on offering tailor-made products for such local entities to compete on bids successfully. Still with the banks, armed robbers have broken into First Capital Bank in Blantyre a day after a similar incident happened at FTH Bank Luzu branch in Blantyre, where they made away with 30 million kwacha. From Blantyre, here's Alex Panda.
Barely 2 days after a heist at FDH Bank in Blantyre at Lunzu Trade Center, we understand there's been another heist at First Capital Bank in Limbi. What has caused the recent heists of banks in the city is not yet clear known. As you can see, customers of First Capital Bank are returning because the bank has purportedly written that the bank is not going to open today.
As we came on air, police in Limbi were yet to disclose the amount of cash robbed at the First Capital Bank. Security expert Sherif Kaisi says this signals a security lapse. He suspects police have to tighten their security presence to make it difficult for robbers execute their missions. There has been no statement from First Capital Bank. For Zodiak and Blantyre, this is Alex Banda.
You're watching the news here on Zodiak. We'll take a short break and be back with more. Stick around.
Tipolole. kuonjezera maunits a TNM kuyambira 200 kwacha kapena kuposera pamenepo mutha kukhala mmodzi mwa mamilioneya mu TNM Tikolole promotion. Koma mukaonjezera maunits ndi 100 kwacha kapena kuposerapo mudzilandira mabonus oyimbira foni, SMS kapena data pompo.
TNM, always with you.
Malawi, awani masompenya amalawi watukula Malawi 2063 akale wosi Mibawa ufika 2063 akale wokomera aliyense achinyamata tigwirane manja watukula Malawi achinyamata tikale patsogolo watukula Malawi wosi Mibawa Malawi wokomera aliyense Malawi 2063 kusinda dziko lathu mokomera aliyense.
If there's one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
All soaps wash.
Yes, but Protex is different. Its reinvented formula with flaxseed oil boosts your skin's natural anti-germ defenses by 10 times more, protecting you against 99.9% of germs. So what keeps us healthy?
Protex!
Good health starts here.
Malawi Institute of Tourism have reduced accommodation rates in their facilities as follows. Lingat's Inn. Standard room, single occupancy is at 21,500 kwacha per night. Double occupancy, 27,000 kwacha per night. Executive room, single occupancy is at 29,500 kwacha per night. Double occupancy, 35,000 kwacha per night. Zuzu Lodge, superior room, single occupancy is at 14,500 kwacha per night. Double occupancy, 18,000 kwacha per night. Executive room, single occupancy is at 24,500 kwacha per night. Double occupancy, 28,000 kwacha per night. Alendo Hotel, executive room, single occupancy is at 22,500 kwacha per night. And double occupancy, 30,000 kwacha per night. The offer is valid from 18th March to 31st May 2021. 93-377-777.
Welcome back. The headlines at this hour. The President Chakwera dares politicians against politicizing MEDEF operations and financial lending institutions. CHRR demands arrest of former Labour Minister for admission of guilt in the plan of COVID-19 funds. TUM laments lack of progress in and out of court talks with Education Ministry a week after suspending strike. And in business, the 2020 tobacco marketing season officially opens this Tuesday at Lilongwe auction floors. Moving on with the news. This year's tobacco marketing season officially opens this Tuesday in Lilongwe, with agriculture expert Tamani Mvula advising government to work on tobacco pricing challenges. His comment follows a decline in tobacco production this year, largely due to lack of motivation on pricing for the growers. President Lazarus Chakwera will preside over the traditional opening ceremony. This report by Alinafi Mlamba looks at farmers' expectations and the quantities for presentation to the floors.
In the 2020 tobacco selling season, the country realized 138 billion kwacha from tobacco sales, which was lower compared to 187 billion kwacha, which was earned in 2019. The drop was, among others, attributed to low production of the gold leaf. This year, the country has also experienced a drop in tobacco production. With the tobacco market opening tomorrow, Tuesday, Tobacco Commission Chief Executive Officer Dr. Joseph Chidanti Malonga has assured farmers that the Commission will ensure all buyers stick to the minimum buying prices.
The actual volumes that will pass through the market will be determined by the numbers that we're going to see. So maybe not much for this season in terms of rectifying what you are asking, but probably we need to do something for the next season to make sure that the market demand is fulfilled and also probably a little bit more.
Agriculture market expert Tamani Nkhani says government should work on the buying prices to motivate farmers to remain in the business.
The level of inputs that farmers are putting in, they're bringing in very low margins to them, and most of the farmers, smallholder farmers that used to produce tobacco have diversified to other crops. So it's indeed a huge challenge for the tobacco sector, because these farmers need to be convinced to come back. Otherwise, looking at the pricing trends that have happened over the years, it's not very encouraging.
Estimates indicate that 122 million kilograms of tobacco have been produced this year against a required production of 132 million kilograms.
Prophet Shepherd Bushiri and his wife Mary were back in court in Lilongwe for continuation of hearing in an extradition case. Bushiri's lawyer Wapona Kita has made an application to have the extradition request dismissed on grounds that it is based on a SADC protocol which is not domesticated in Malawi. Madali Sopidi explains from the court.
The Bushiris was back in court this morning, and when hearing started, the lawyer for the Bushiris, that's Prophet Shepherd Bushiri and his wife Mary Wapona Kita, told the court, the chief resident magistrate Patrick Chiwa, that they wanted the case to be thrown out altogether, the extradition case, because it lacked what they called legal basis. And they said before doing that, they want the case to be referred to the Chief Justice so that it should go to a constitutional court to be determined on its legality. The defense lawyer, Wapona Kita, says they want the Chief Justice to refer the matter to the Constitutional Court to have the Constitutional Court interpret whether the SADC protocol, which the South African government is using to try to extradite the Bushiris, can be used at all in Malawi. So the defense is asking for two things. One, to refer the matter of the SADC protocol to the Constitutional Court, as it is just a treaty and not domestic law. This is because Malawi, they argue that did not ratify the protocol, nor did it create an act of parliament to domesticate the treaty. So they want that to be determined by the Constitutional Court. And having received the determination, they want the chief resident magistrate now to throw out the extradition request altogether. But the Director of Public Prosecutions representing the state, Dr. Steve Kayuni, argued that the protocol in question was acceptable, and that despite that, the South African government also used the bilateral relation agreement that is there between Malawi and South Africa, which can also be used. So his argument was that the defense cannot just use the South African protocol alone, but there is also the treaty that was referred in trying to extradite the Bushiris. Chief Resident Magistrate Patrick Chiwa has said Friday, 23rd April, as the date he is going to rule on whether this case should go to the Chief Justice, should be referred to the Chief Justice to make a determination on whether it will go to a constitutional court or not. So that's where we are at the moment.
Across the borders, authorities in Nigeria's Katsina state say dogs and prayer stations will be part of a new security setup to protect students at schools from criminals. Schools in North Nigeria have come under increased attacks from armed criminals who have abducted hundreds of students since December. More than 300 boys were kidnapped from a school in Kankara area of Katsina state in December, but were later released. Public boarding schools in the state were ordered shut last month following increased attacks on schools in northwest Nigeria. At the reopening of schools last Saturday, the State Commissioner of Education announced that new security measures will be put in place to prevent further attacks. Well, that's about what we had time for in this edition of news, but before we leave, a look at the headlines. President Chakwera dares politicians against politicizing MEDEF operations and financial lending institutions. CHRR demands arrest of former Labour Minister for admission of guilt in plan of COVID-19 funds. TUM laments lack of progress in and out of court talks with Education Ministry a week after suspending strike. And in business, the 2020 tobacco marketing season officially opens this Tuesday at Lilongwe auction floors. Visit our website, zodiacmalawi.com, for more news. COVID-19 vaccination is underway in the country. Make a decision, protect yourself and protect your loved ones. My name is Robert Karua. Thanks for watching.
The ultimate goal of every businessman is to make profits stress-free. Motivate your staff today. They'll put in more effort.